See, we all know that feeling. What? God, God, God. You want me to do what? What? Jonah knew the feeling. Jonah knew the feeling when he was told to go and preach to the people in Nineveh and save them. And he jumped on a ship and went in the opposite direction. He ran away. But I think, like Moses, most of us, we stand and argue with God. I mean, we're unity. We argue. We stand. And we tell God every excuse why God is wrong and we're right. Have you ever had that conversation in your mind? I don't have the means. I don't have the skills. I don't have the power. I don't want this. All the problems came up to Moses. They won't believe me. What are they going to believe? Me, a shepherd? I stutter. How am I going to speak for all of Israel? I stutter, God. I don't have any power. I don't have any army to take on all of Egypt. What am I supposed to attack with this flock of sheep? But as is often the case, when this internal freeing of bondage shows up in our mind, objections arise from our human way of seeing things and viewing life. Many times, that first question we ask sets the course. And in this case, the first question Moses asked, which is, all I don't have, what don't I have? I don't have skills, I don't have means, I don't have power. But if you notice in Scripture, and you can read this, I'm giving you the cliff notes. It's in Exodus chapter 3. I'm giving you the cliff notes today, but God doesn't even contradict Moses. God doesn't say, yes, Moses, you do have the skill. Yes, Moses, you do. What God goes, and God as the Lord of our being, as Reverend Ken described, God flips the script right then and there. Flips it. I'm not paying attention to your little human questions. God says, what is that in your hand? And Moses says, a staff. The staff is a metaphor. What do we have is the right question to ask when inspiration shows up. This staff, it represents everything we need. You see, this staff was an ordinary shepherd's staff. But this staff is all the shepherd needed for success in his job. He doesn't need anything else. He doesn't need a partner. He doesn't need a bed. He doesn't need a house. He doesn't need a phone. He doesn't need a car. He doesn't need anything else for the shepherd to be the most successful shepherd that ever was, can, or will be. All he needs is the staff. What is that in your hand? We always have just what we need. This is an ordinary shepherd's staff, but in Scripture it is a metaphor, and Charles Fillmore says this staff represents spiritual power. You see, right now, right today, as we sit here, whatever our history, whatever our past, whatever we're going through or growing through in this moment, we have all the spiritual power we will ever need in our life right now. We can bring seeming miracles to pass in the now moment when we recall how powerful we are. You see this story about Moses and God and the staff and asking what you have. It's the story of what goes on in our mind countless times. It is the story that I'm trying to share with us that we have in our own head. As we move through today and the experience that we're praying about, as we move through what appears to be a challenge, I encourage us not to place limitations on potential, on our potential, because of a seeming lack of skills or resources. A seeming lack of skills. How many of you had the skills that you have now 25 years ago? We learn them. How many of us can say 7 years ago we have the resources that we've accumulated today? We've attracted them. See, Chris says being resourceful is what we have in our hand. That we can use today's circumstance for our advantage, no matter what the circumstances are. In the book, he says, he goes on and he says, this passage about Moses and the staff, he says that it has resonated with him. And it's becoming more powerful to him as he became an adult. He's realizing that as he applies this lesson, ask what I have in my hand instead of what I don't have, it becomes increasingly relevant in all success. Chris was taught by his mother to be resourceful. He shares it in the book. The book is a great book. And I'll let you read that on your own. But she told him over and over and over again, I've done so much, with so little for so long that I can do anything with nothing. So much for so little for so long, I can do anything with nothing. We all can say these words to ourselves. Start with what we have begs the question, what do we have today? What do we have today? I'm just going to take the top 2 answers that I came up with. You know, one thing we have is people around us who inspire us. They don't cost anything. They don't even charge, usually. They're just who we choose to hang out with. We saw Reverend Ken Williamson start the service, and he was one of the countless. Look at their neighbor and say, countless people who have contributed to your minister standing up here today. I can't even begin to thank the people who have influenced me. But one of the top 5 is Ken Williamson. Now, as you know, if you've heard me mention him or his story, he went home, he made his transition, and it went home to God last year. But he still inspires me. He haunts me in a way. I wish he could be here to celebrate this day. Because it was 7 years ago when I told him, I can't do this. And he said, you can do this. He's still inside of me. I hear his very voice. Let me know it's okay whenever I make a mistake. Whenever I go down the wrong road, he lets me know it's okay. I took that clip because I wanted him here today. I wanted him here to experience the joy that really I'm experiencing.